There we go, just in time for the post. I know I'm late. Me being late to my own stream has become kind of a regular occurrence, but nonetheless, here I am. I'm back, and I have a couple of ideas, a couple of topics, a couple of things. It just seems like a day where I'm feeling a little bit more up to the task. The task not being a particularly tall order, but then again, I do have I have a penchant for making streaming a little bit more difficult than it needs to be on myself. Um, yeah, yesterday I just didn't feel great, so I didn't stream. It enabled me to do some other pretty productive things. It enabled me to like slow the pace down a little bit, kind of cut myself off from the internet for a couple more hours than I would usually. Got some reading in, learned how to tuck. If I'm being completely honest about it, that's what I was doing yesterday. Uh, yeah. So now I'm tucked and actually have a padded bra on right now. That's why my tits look bigger. They're not actually this big. It is quite comfortable though. It's good for my chest. Basically was exactly what I was looking for. So that my like chest wouldn't get all irritated from like just having a regular shirt and no undergarment. Hello, learn how to Riz. Is that a command? Because it's a work in progress. I'm getting there. Welcome back, Caleb the Furry. So I'm gonna start the same way that I started last stream. That is to say, in single player mode a little bit. First, I wanted to check on something. Okay, good. Yeah. It seems that the records on each of the cups that you clear in the custom track mode does not affect your overall rating. So we're just going to go back in and keep clearing those cups. I'm going to do a few of them up until about the hour mark. Then I'll spend the last hour on Worldwides online. Let's see here. I am going to need Twitter for a couple of things that I wanted to talk about, but that's okay. I had an idea. I think I'll share my idea right away. I had an idea that I might want to stream this weekend a little bit and then maybe take it easy on Monday because there's a tournament happening. People who watch the stream will know I am a big enjoyer of Super Smash Bros. For the Nintendo GameCube. And one of the biggest tournaments in the like tournament circuit is happening this weekend. Genesis X3. It's a yearly tournament. It is a super major. So I figured it would be fun for me to just live stream me watching the tournament and seeing what all is going on. Because obviously I can't travel out there. The tournament's hosted in NorCal, which is way too far for me to get to. Even I think the closest super major to me is Super Smash Con, Supernova, and that's like 5 hours or more from where I live. Kind of outed myself insofar as where I live still, like on the eastern seaboard, but it's fine. Actually, I think it'd be longer than 5 hours. No, wait. I don't know. I'm bad at estimating times for like a car drive. Anyways, let's start with the Yoshi Cup. We've got Vanilla Lake, Bowser Castle 3, Mario Circuit 4, Donut Plains 3. Ah, yes, Mario Circuit 4, the most irrelevant Mario Circuit to the Mario Kart cultural lexicon. So irrelevant, they didn't even bring it back in the big old amalgam of Mario Circuits in Mario Kart World. Let's get started here. So... Hey, already not going great. I mean, I expect to just get a B rank on all of these Grand Prix here because it's like doesn't really permit you to get anything higher, it seems, but you know. there have been some interesting news developments and there have been some interesting developments with regards to discourse as well. You know, I'm a pretty drama averse streamer insofar as, you know, I don't care to clash insofar as personalities because I'm not big enough of a personality, and also like people are different. You're not, you know, you're not going to be palatable to everybody, and that's like okay. But this particular discourse between like big personalities is politically relevant and bears an opportunity for me to drive home a political point. So I think I'll do that. And of course, it involves Hasan, which you know, love him or hate him, Hasan is perennially relevant on the online left and in the real world left as well. But now that I've buried the lead a little bit, trying to yap as well as I can while on the race course, I will start with something I saw on Twitter. Here, let me go to Twitter. And this is not like Discord related. Discourse related. It's also not Discord related, but here we go. Actually, what am I doing? This is single player. I can pause. Let me pause while I bring this up. Okay. This is off the, okay, the other thing I was thinking of like, what about this other information? But then I realized that was product of a Kyle Kulinski video from Secular Talk. And the relevance of that has to do with debt. I follow this account called the Debt Collective. And mostly what they concern themselves with is medical debt and student debt, which are the two, I think, most prominent types of debt in the United States, aside from credit card debt, which people for some reason treat differently. But, you know, those are the two things they talk about very frequently. I saw in my newsfeed this morning that credit card debt is actually ballooning. But I want to leave that for sort of second on the itemized list of me talking about debt. First, I want to talk about student debt. Per Debt Collective and per NPR, student debt is actually piling up, and for the first time in a while, or actually continuing a trend that started with the pandemic, student debt is not being paid back. And of course, you could, if you're a fiddly neoliberal bureaucrat, you could say, this is very troubling for the economy, and sort of fixate on like the angle that, paying student loan debt back is good in itself because like, it's debt, of course you should pay it back. But for most people, the correct take is actually, this doesn't bode well for the economy, and also, wow, nice target shot by the CPU. And also, it's good that people are not paying back their student loans because, like, it's a completely untenable institution. If it's unfeasible for you to pay it back, then like, why worry about paying it back, right? Like, it's an education. You shouldn't have to fucking go into debt to get an education. I don't think there's anything morally wrong with not paying back your student loans. You know? As much as the lenders and banks wouldn't necessarily like that. And colleges and financial institutions mostly are very miffed about that. So, NPR headline reads, maybe I'll even go to the NPR article. Millions of student loan borrowers aren't repaying their loans and defaults are up. I think student loans are one of the types of debt that you actually can't go bankrupt on. Like, there is no way to legally escape paying back that debt. There's a couple forms of debt that this applies to in the United States because that makes for a much more desperate working class. Ordinarily, with some debts, like with a car loan, I guess, or just with any kind of loan, bank loan, you can declare bankruptcy if it is too far beyond your reach to actually pay back your debts. And that nukes your credit score, obviously, but like, it does clear that debt. If you have $100,000 of debt and it's like, fuck, I can't pay this back, I'm gonna go bankrupt. Like, I actually, there's nothing I can do to pay this debt back. You can file for bankruptcy, and if you are, if you legally declare bankruptcy, then you don't have that debt anymore. It's like, okay, then you don't need to pay back the hypothetical $100,000. But for certain types of debt, medical debt being one, and I think student debt being another, you are not legally allowed to declare bankruptcy. Once you take on that debt at the age of fucking 18 for a lot of people, and, you know, with student loans, under terms that you have a very ill-conceived understanding of, and, you know, without having much choice in the matter, you are now locked into that debt. There is no legal escape from it. Except for the part where you could just be like, what if I just fucking don't pay this back? It's not like the law matters anyway. You know? Fucking governments and financial institutions and corporations and shareholders and the wealthy ignore the law all the time to do fucking heinous things. You know, so what really, in comparison, what actually is the harm in a regular person ignoring the law to just not go into bankruptcy and to survive, right? If the law kills you, it is your moral obligation to break it, is basically what I'm saying here. But that's analyzing it on a moralistic level, which I don't necessarily want to strictly adhere to. Roughly 1 million borrowers defaulted on their federal student loans late last year. Oh, wait, so you can default on them. With millions delinquent on their payments and sliding towards the same fate. Either way, getting so far in debt that you can't pay it back. Nick's what I said about, like, there's no legal escape from student loan debt. I guess in this case, there is a legal escape, but given that it nukes your credit score, it may as well kill you. So, you know, just as well, I think the argument is the same that, like, if paying your student loan debt is, like, kills you long term, inhibits your ability to pay for housing, food, etc., then why pay the student loans at all? Like, is it even worth it? And that's what a lot of people, I assume, are thinking, what the logic they're operating on. And of course, this is a bad indicator for the economic health of the country, because so many people are in such dire economic straits that they're like, you know what, fuck it, I'll roll the dice on somebody coming to my house and breaking my kneecaps because this student loan debt is literally too much. Over 1 million people. You know? Not getting a lot of items, but I don't expect this to give me a good rating at the end of it, so probably fine. It I think is a sign of, like, it's one of the many mounting signs of decline. That's like the looming student debt crisis that actually really, like, it started with student debt being introduced as a thing in the first place. It prohibitively expensive tuitions for colleges and universities in America were introduced in the 1980s because of, you know, the Reagan administration, as every bad thing owes its existence to. But they got especially bad in the 2000s, and especially in 2020 when COVID-19 hit, and for a brief period of time, the Biden administration made the decision, we're going to pause the repayment and collection on student loans. As long as this pause is in effect, you do not have to pay back your student loans. You don't have to worry about it. But then in 2023, I think, once the pandemic, like the shutdown phase of the pandemic was kind of over, the Biden admin was just like, all right, the pause is done. Now you have to pay back your student debt again. No, I don't want to send a commemorative photo. which was obviously disastrous because people were like, oh, thank God, I can spend money on other stuff. And then that financial shock of oftentimes hundreds or thousands of dollars each month was reintroduced all at once. The logical decision, like even from the perspective of maintaining the system where student debt is a thing, the only correct, the bare minimum correct political decision would have been to forgive or cancel all existing student debt. One way or another, this crisis reaches a point where it's fundamentally impossible for things to continue as they are. Unpausing the payment on that just sort of made that journey a lot more messy. I argued at the time that we were going to see a lot of people not paying back their loans, and it didn't end up happening in the moment. But I think now we're starting to see what I thought was going to happen right as the pause was lifted. And as like there were people organizing a debt strike, it seems like we're seeing some of that come to fruition where now, like, enough people are not paying back their loans just by choice that it's like, yeah, I'm just, more people are becoming willing to do that just because it was fundamentally untenable to begin with. Does that make sense? It was either you cancel all existing student debt, once the pause was up, you cancel or forgive all of that debt, and you have to square the contradictions of this system right away, where now there's going to be a renewed uproar about, like, these people got their debt canceled. How is that fair that they got their debts canceled and I didn't? You either have that reckoning right away, or you drag it out. You drag your feet for longer by trying to forcibly unpause student loan debt repayment and like face the basic inevitability that like this shock is becoming more and more untenable for a lot of people, this financial strain. Which of course is the route that the liberals took because they're liberals, they're institutionalists, they ideologically oppose doing things with political power. You know? So it took a couple years, or I guess a few years longer than I would have predicted a few years ago, but it does seem like with many different debt crises sort of approaching a nexus all at the same time, we're due for an economic collapse that necessitates an economic restructure of some sort. And I know that's not terribly specific of me to say, but you know, it's hard to deal in specifics when there's a debt crisis of this magnitude looming. And of course, I sound like I'm talking it up so much. That's because I only just talked about the student loan portion of this crisis. I have not actually talked yet about the other looming debt crises and economic crises, rather. Let me actually go to Kyle Kulinski's YouTube channel, Secular Talk, to see that video I saw earlier. Try to get a source from that. Where was it? It was about, yeah, here we go. Oop. I'll be able to look at that in a second. Let me see. What was this from the Bureau of Labor Statistics? Oh, the New Republic. Here, okay, I can look this up. The New Republic. Yeah, give me that. Where's their news article about debt exploding? Man, they publish a lot of shit. 3 hours ago. Let me just scroll down a bit and then Control F debt. No? Okay. Oh, wait, hold on. That was one post. And then, okay. So wait, I was wrong about the initial tweet. The initial tweet from New Republic was about jobs numbers. Let me look for that. No? Hey, where? Come on. There we go. Okay. Sorry about that. From the New Republic, President Trump has given us the worst January since the Great Recession. U.S.-based employers laid off 108,000 employees last month, 3 times as many as in December, and twice as many as January 2025. So the layoffs are continuing. The job growth is not happening. And then where is the other tweet? Let's see. Global markets. What was it? Global markets investor. Don't know how reputable that account is. But I want to corroborate a thing that they posted. Wow, they seem like a very data-driven account. I might like these guys just for like the shit they're posting. Oh wow, it's literally all like really bad economic statistics. Okay, I might just put the link to their account here. Okay, hold on. Let me just link this so you guys can scroll through and see like there's a lot of it's bad. It's really bad. Layoffs skyrocketing. That was what the New Republic also reported. Where's the bit about credit card debt? Here we go. Here it is, I think. If I corroborate this. It's not the same image, but they're talking about the same thing. Americans are defaulting on their debt at crisis pace. The percentage of U.S. credit card debt that is seriously delinquent 90 plus days hit 12.7%, over 1/8 in Q4 2025, the highest since Q4 2011. Over the last 3 years, the percentage has skyrocketed by 5 percentage points. This is now far above the 2001 recession levels and only below the post-Great Financial Crisis peak of 13.7%. Meanwhile, credit card debt has risen by 500 billion over the last 4 years to a record 1.28 trillion. And when they say credit card debt, they mean outstanding balances on people's credit cards, not how much money is being circulated by way of credit cards, which is all debt. They're just talking about the amount that people haven't paid off yet at any given time. I think as I explored, there was a Newsweek article that I looked at for a similar topic to this several months ago, where the amount of credit card debt that people have in America is about 60% the size of America's GDP. Janik Fives, welcome to the chat. Hello. Pog indeed. I was just talking about how owarida, it's so over. Something credit card debt something. Are you enjoying the nothing ever happens? Refill your popcorn. You'll love when something finally happens and it's the collapse of the entire world economy. You know? Type shit. Also, I'm doing single player right now because I'm embarking on a project to beat all of the custom track Grand Prix Cups in single player Mario Kart Wii Retro Rewind. And then once we hit about an hour, I will take 2 online. But credit card debt is escalating, student loan debt is escalating. I saw as well, if you follow that link that I posted in the chat, although Janik might not be able to see it, you'll find as well that account, that was it, Global Markets Investor account, also posted that mortgage delinquencies are approaching or around like 2008 levels. It's getting pretty bad. All the debt, like all the various forms of debt that people have, are piling up. Oh yeah, and then also the classic, the dollar is down and gold is up, which is really bad. And a lot of these are speculative metrics, in the sense that rich people use them to determine how to invest money, do buy, borrow, die type shit. But people having debt just straightforwardly at such a broad level, and especially when they're not able to pay it back, that's bad in and of itself. And so these statistics are very useful for that. So I guess well, I fell off and died. I guess for the next several streams, I'm just going to be pitching a big old New Year's style death of the American economy, American century of humiliation party type shit. Don't fucking worry about paying back any of those predatory debts, I guess. I don't know. I'm not a financial advisor, but like legitimately, it's getting pretty rough out there. I only just realized that there was a gap there. Mushroom? It's good to avoid a blue shell. I really do like the idea, though, that student loan debt would be central to this debt crisis. And as weird as that sounds, the reason I say that is because, like, whatever debt is central to a debt crisis usually is a form of debt that has to be addressed, right? Like it's becoming the topic of the day means it's like more likely to be paid attention to and addressed by like policy or politicians or whatever, if the crisis is ever to be resolved. So I'm glad that student debt is going to take that mantle, because I think education is one of the most important institutions in the world. And education is just such an important thing. I'm a firm believer that everybody should be well educated. Like a well-educated society makes for a very durable and adaptable society, I think. So if there's the opportunity to address the prohibitive cost of education, I would love for that to happen. You know? I'm just gonna start using this. It's a very direct interpretation of SNES Rainbow Road. Kind of surprised. That banana's probably not going to hit anybody except me. It could be considered adventurous in a way. For me to be talking about that like this, but like legitimately, I don't know. I've really been on like my accelerationist shit lately, you know, because it seems like the only way things are going to get better at such a massive institutional level, like nationwide, is number one, local action that like wouldn't necessarily be directly related to those issues, you know, which is great. And I've, you know, seen a lot of people doing that across various cities when confronted with stuff like ICE, or at a more directly related level would be for a crisis to occur at a national level in such a way that you can't like get out of the crisis without actually addressing it, right? Part of what made the financial crisis so bad was that we didn't address anything afterwards. You know, the great financial crisis started and then never ended. America never actually recovered from the great financial crisis because the crisis was driven by like speculation and like money being funneled from the real economy into the fake economy. And what happened was just the government gave enough free money to banks, financial institutions, and private companies that it made the economic like metrics kind of look like we bounced back. All the while, like real wages haven't grown since before the great financial crisis. You know, all the economic statistics, all of the material qualities of life are mostly worse now than they were pre-great financial crisis, with the exception of stuff like access to broadband internet. I think like that might be the one thing. Ah, yes, ad break running. Quick plug, if you're subscribed, you don't get ads. I don't know why I'm saying that during an ad break, but subscribe. Okay. Let's hop on Yoshi. All right. N64 Mushroom Cup. I think I prefer to have my headset off, kind of like this. But yeah, I don't know how much I want to make that a segment. I might make something else a segment. I just wanted to talk. I wanted to talk about debt because it's another one of those like accelerationists are eating so good right now. You know, like debt crises are bad, but accelerationists are eating good because when the crisis happens of the bad thing accumulating for so long that now it has to be addressed, it does actually have to be addressed, and that could be very good. You know, or if it isn't addressed, then like people get mad enough about it that like it's a permanent fixture in their mind, and like you can't get away with not addressing it in the future, if that makes sense. I don't know. Kind of yapping, but you know, that's what I do on this stream. Also, I run mid-roll ads so that there's no pre-roll ads on my Twitch stream. If you don't want to get hit by the mid-roll ads, you should subscribe and support me. Hee. If I get enough subscriptions, I will do what the sub goal says, which I think is play Five Nights at Freddy's. And if people follow, I'll do another thing, which is the Pokemon Smasher Pass list. Got another mushroom in first. I'm getting a lot of mushrooms in first. Oh, okay. I got hit by a blue shell across the finish line. Very cool. Next race. Okay. Now we get to the Discord related stuff. Here, hold on. Discord statement? What was this rancid ass? Yeah, okay. Teen by default. Discord is turning into Big Brother type shit. Yeah, and they have a statement. I might skim through it, but by and large, what's going on is Discord is introducing new surveillance measures, nominally for age verification, but it doesn't actually have anything to do with that. Like if you wanted to do age verification, there's a very clean and easy method to do it that involves actually so minimal of user data that you don't even need to, it's basically completely non-intrusive, and that would be basically invent a second social security number that every person gets an anonymized version of, and you use that for all age verification purposes. And it's like, essentially, the government has this list of valid numbers. They don't know who they belong to, but they know they all belong to real people, and like they can only be in use like once at a time, like per website or something. And you input the number, and they check with the government, like, yeah, is this a valid ID number? And the government's like, yes. And then they're like, all right, cool, this person's age is verified, like 18 plus or whatever. And that's the only data they have access to, right? We already do this a lot. We already require your social security number to be identity verification for a lot of social services. And while it may seem compromising, it's actually way less compromising to give your social security number to a government agency. Sounds good what they just shared these numbers? That sounds good, but wouldn't they just share your social security number? It's way less compromising to have a number that you are assigned that's completely anonymized, not at all connected to your name, address, and fucking facial biometric data, than it would be for Discord to do what it's doing, which is request your name, like your fucking name, date of birth, and facial biometric scan, like, data. What I'm trying to communicate to you is this age verification thing that I'm proposing as, like, if you wanted to do this, there's actually a proper way to do it, that already exists. And you already have to do that for a number of things, and it is very anonymous. You know? But as it stands for a lot of, like, private companies, you have to give your full-ass name, like, email, phone number, and, like, street address, which is way the fuck more compromising, to say nothing of the, like, facial recognition scans that Discord and Microsoft and all these other social media companies would require of you, right? All that to say, it's not actually about age verification. It is about harvesting data. If it were about age verification, they would be using the method I described, because that entails only minimal harvesting of data, minimal risk to security. But Discord recently had a massive data breach, because once it collects your data, which it already, like, surveils you for, it holds on to it. And this has nothing to do with the age verification. It has everything to do with harvesting more of your data. Essentially, like, constructing a surveillance apparatus to monitor your behavior, to ensure you're not engaging in anything 18 plus, and also just to, like, censor political dissidents because of, like, a sort of passive slide into authoritarianism that's happening all around the world, you know? Like, you have to give your credit card information every time you buy something, right? But that's not even as compromising as you having to scan your fucking face. And by their own admission too, Discord, with this, like, information that would be collecting from you, mostly like like what your face looks like, and, you know, your browsing habits. Discord actually, I can't believe they disclosed this. I think they said this in a tweet of theirs. They actually said that, yeah, there's gonna be a monitoring program, a heuristic. They actually use that word, a heuristic, that runs in the background while you're using Discord and monitors your behavior, like what websites you visit, what kind of content you engage with, to try to like estimate what your age is. And if it ever like surmises that you might be below the age of 18, or maybe it's 16, I forget, with Discord's like age verification thing, then it like bars you from certain features, you know? All of it is very characteristic of an institutional world that has stopped believing in doing anything good, that has stopped believing in like the liberal project, more or less. And when I say liberal, I mean Enlightenment liberal, not the fucking neoliberal rot that's an insult to the Enlightenment. If that makes sense. Just gonna throw a bunch of items back. But at this point, this is kind of like the strategy with Discord is similar to the strategy with a lot of other social media and you know, big tech companies that are interested in doing this sort of surveillance machinery, which is they went into this already having enough market capture that like it's kind of hard to just abandon this social media platform. And even to the extent that it's feasible, a lot of people just won't do it because, again, it's so integrated into our like daily lives, you know? Like what a lot of people miss when you know, these sorts of things happen. You know, everybody recognizes, rightly so, that fucking surveilling you all the time is really bad. What a lot of people miss is that a lot of companies will already have certain data collected from you for very regular ass purposes. For example, YouTube knows what your age is, at least for the age of like the email that you use. They know what your email is and password and like whatever else, security questions, potentially sometimes even payment details if you're like monetized and stuff. And that's as a matter of like standard operations. This is an expansion of that to the point that not only do they have certain data about you that they can use to make the website work, now it's about like collecting data to further monetize and pigeonhole people into like basically saying, don't go anywhere, don't do anything, you know? Trying to make people more predictable, right? A lot of it will be just to like sell you ads and stuff to try to get ad revenue.
Mario time.
Let me see some more details on this statement. See more about the facial scans. They say, don't worry, not everybody's going to have to do the facial scan, but the fact that anybody is going to be prompted to do it by Discord at all is a travesty, honestly. Submit a form of identification to its vendor partners. Oh, great. Discord just straightforwardly admitting, yeah, we're gonna, we give this data to third parties, or we access it through third parties even. You know, it's not about safety. It's never been about safety. You know, if it were about safety, again, they would go through, I would say, great pains, but they're actually going through way more effort here to de-anonymize your information than it would take to just use, like, to invent Social Security 2, which you give to every person without, like, asking their name, age, or any other details, and then you can give that, like, data string as a non-sequitur. It's like using what was it, encryption passkey or something to verify legitimate entry into like a zip file or something. It's kind of awkward for me to try to provide analysis on this because it's so obvious. You describe it, you can only really describe it as what it is, which is Big Brother type shit. You know, like, oh, haha, don't worry, we're only watching you constantly to make sure you're not misbehaving and engaging in age-inappropriate behavior. Who determines what age-inappropriate behavior is? We do, as Discord, or something like that. You know? And keep in mind, too, I think relevant to bring up, because this is pitched as age verification, the intent here is not just to surveil everybody, but especially to surveil children. Like, fucking great. The state, or the state through various corporations, spying on kids browsing the internet. I'm sure this is like couldn't possibly be used for anything bad, especially in the event of a data breach, when you have this comprehensive data information profile, including potentially biometric face scans of somebody who is, by Discord's own admission, underage. You know? It's actually a very nice picture to use an example of the banality of evil. You know? And of course, the one third-party vendor I'm thinking of that they would sell all this data to, because I mentioned that, is Palantir. You know, a company whose main thing is surveillance. But, you know, companies that engage in the purchase and sale of user data also sell their data to governments directly, and government agencies, such as the FBI, CIA, NSA, you know, all those types of things. So, you know, average day at Discord, what if we installed a virus on children's computers to surveil them constantly to make sure they're not misbehaving? And then somebody was like, that's a great idea. I mean, I'm kind of making that bit up. This almost certainly was just part of a larger rollout of surveillance that was planned anyway. You know, it's not like they're getting marketing heads together and coming up with this idea, man, this would be so good for like profits and stuff, and for our investors and whatever. They've kind of decided this already beforehand. You can tell by the language that companies will use in statements that they issue, and the point at which they give it to marketing is when they already have decided, we're going to surveil people a shit ton. You need to spin it as something good, you know? And of course, we know that the government is keen to crack down on left-wing sentiment as well. If you follow Ken Klippenstein's reporting at all, like NSPM 7 literally says that that there's an executive memo where the government says, yeah, if you disagree with us, that makes you a domestic terrorist, and we have carte blanche to do a lot of things while investigating you, not the least of which being violate your constitutional rights. You know, it's a natural part of the behavior of states, nation states, but, you know, states in general. Their entire purpose is to consolidate more power in themselves and to use force on a population to control them. Anyways, I've yapped long enough about that. I did see some discourse involving Hassan, which is known to happen. The libs really don't like him, except for the cool libs. I think that there are some libs that I'm cool with because they like leftists. What was it? I've Had It podcast. Some of the Pod Save America guys are like more or less okay. Comrade Stancil can be pretty cool sometimes, but look, we're not talking about those kinds of liberals. I'm talking about the kind of liberals that you should make fun of constantly. And that you should never let hear the end of it, because God knows they're smug when it's completely fucking unearned. It is midterm season. It's an election year, 2026, even numbered year. So most states will have their elections, and federal elections are held this year for things that aren't the presidency. So voting discourse is back. And my position used to be that you should vote for Democrats because lesser of two evils type shit. But now I actually think that Democrats simply constitute a side grade in how evil they are. I don't think it's worth it. And Hassan's take was like, look, this wasn't even necessarily about the midterms. I think it was about like the upcoming presidential in 2028. But basically said, like, yeah, if it were between an establishment Democrat, like pretty boilerplate establishment Democrat, it could be Gavin Newsom or Kamala Harris again, or it could be somebody else, that he would vote third party. He would not vote for them. And his rationale was basically like, if the Democrats can't evolve in a moment like this, it shows that they just don't care. And I'm amenable to that argument. In fact, I think that, like, at this point, having seen the Democrats do make the same mistakes to such an extent that they don't even acknowledge them as mistakes, like they're not even willing to admit, oh yeah, this might have not been correct, for 3 or more election cycles in a row, like Democrats constantly capitulating to the right, to the Republicans and whatnot, and giving up political leverage when they do have it. They're not a serious political party. They are controlled opposition. Legitimately, with all the stuff I mentioned about the country being on an economic precipice, circumstances are very, very dire. Dire enough that I would consider this the beginning of like another Great Depression-esque crash, except this crash is potentially worse. Much, much worse. Especially, considering how economically interwoven the United States is as a global hegemon, and how we're about to lose that status. Like, it is a fall from grace, the likes of which we have literally never seen in history, right? And I think at a moment like this, drastic times call for, like ever more drastic times call for ever more drastic measures. And at this stage, I think the Democrats should be, like, basically, we need another FDR-esque candidate, politician, to address any of these crises that are all part of, like, one mega crisis, right? Anything less than that, I think, is unacceptable. Like, it shows an unwillingness to actually bring the country back from the brink, and a fixation on compromise for compromise's sake, even when it aids the death of the country, Like, corporate profits are at record highs. Economic regulations and laws that are meant to protect consumers and workers alike are being flagrantly ignored, both by the companies who are subject to them and the governments that are supposed to enforce them. Like, how do you fix this except somebody who's willing to say, all right, I'm going to haul all of you in front of the judge, and you will all face time if you don't follow the law. All of you, from the richest to, like, the politicians, like, everybody, and not just the law where it says you're not allowed to steal things. I mean the law where it's like you're not allowed to engage in such and such financial schemes and market manipulation and wage theft, and you get it. I'm kind of like, it's a little bit of a sloppulist framing that I'm engaging with, because I'm kind of going at this on the fly, but the bottom line is that economic circumstances are dire enough. The economy is in dire enough straits that I think that the only chance that there is to meaningfully address this is an FDR-esque figure, a very, very belligerent social democrat with an uncompromising vision for the country, an affirmative vision. And if you're not willing to do that, I don't think you warrant the time of day as a political party. In fact, I would be prepared to vote for J.D. Vance over somebody like Gavin Newsom just because that keeps people active and angry at the forces that are making their lives miserable. You know? More than anything, what I don't want is for people to be put back to sleep, you know, politically. For all that yapping aside, it's time for more yapping. There was a clip of Hasan talking with some of the podcast people, and I wanted to listen to it. It's just, it's like they're just sitting in podcast format, so I'd probably just play the audio. This is from a lib account that fucking hates Hasan, but I'm gonna listen to this podcast here. Oh, invalid pack version. Oh, right, all right. There was an update, huh? Well, let's listen to this clip as I'm updating the pack.
For him.
Disappointed in Gavin.
Let's turn it up a little bit.
For him.
Disappointed in
Who
Gavin
do you vote
Newsom.
for, J.D. Vance or Gavin Newsom?
Well, I'd have to vote for Gavin Newsom,
Me
of
too.
course, 100%.
I wouldn't
There's
blink.
no
What
doubt.
about you, Hasan?
I'd probably vote third party.
You would?
So this is Hasan with, I think, one of the guys from Pod Save America and one of the girls from the I've Had It podcast.
Oh yeah. I mean, at that point, it doesn't even matter. Like, because my policy on this is the same as like my refusal to endorse Kamala Harris. The reason why I did not endorse Kamala Harris was because she did things that were not only unproductive but also unconscionable. And I still stand on that. I still talk about it all the time because people constantly bring it up. They're like, you didn't sufficiently like promote Kamala Harris. You're the reason why she lost. And I'm like, I am incapable. There is no singular force in this country that is capable of making or breaking an election. And if that was real, then it is the most idiotic thing not to listen to my demands. But everybody knows that that's not real, right? Mm-hmm. If I had this singular force to be able to make Kamala Harris the president, then Kamala Harris should be coming to me every day and being like, let me do a collab with you, please.
Totally.
Right? That's not the case, of course. And they know it. That's why they didn't do it. But the campaigns are always responsible for whether or not they are able to win the crowds, win the population over, and you know, combat against the couch. Not necessarily even against the Republican Party, but usually you're fighting against the couch, people who just don't go out and vote. And for me, the way I see it is if the Democratic establishment makes this decision one more time, just as they did with Hillary Clinton,
Yep.
just as they did with Kamala Harris, and in some ways, just as they did with Joe Biden as well, which led to Trump too, then they just don't care. And there's not much I can do.
Let me
beyond
tell you
that.
something. I agree with everything you say, but as a person who crawl through 10 feet of concrete to vote for Gavin Newsom, even though I think he's duplicitous, a hypocrite, a thirst trap, hungry for power, all of the things that you say, and harms the Democratic Party and sets the psychological soil to be more prey to fascism. All of that I agree with. But there are so many
I'm gonna let her
young,
finish.
queer, black, brown, marginalized people in red states. And even though this corporate Democrat is,
As if Gavin
you
Newsom would
see it in
do
a
anything for them.
long-term game. In the short-term game, a President Newsom over a President J.D. Vance.
Okay. So I'm even more radical than Hasan there. I would straight up, I would vote for JD Vance if it were JD Vance versus Gavin Newsom, because I would want Gavin Newsom to lose. But Hasan's correct. Even by their own admission, Hasan is correct. You know, I think you can't like, I think your motive analysis kind of falls apart to critique the I've Had It podcast girl a little bit, lady. I think your mode of analysis kind of falls apart if you acknowledge that the Democratic Party isn't going to do anything to fix things, but then still say, but you should still vote for them over the Republicans. At that point, the Democrats could only represent a continuation of the current holding pattern, which would lead to a worse Republican administration in the future. That's literally what Hassan said with Hillary and with Joe Biden. That's what happened with Joe Biden, was that Joe Biden being elected in 2020 enabled the Republicans to regroup, to come up with Project 2025, to consolidate their messaging, to escalate their rhetoric, to come back with the second Trump administration, and to send the country down the toilet because Joe Biden and his administration fundamentally weren't willing to do anything. Remember, Merrick Garland and the Biden administration were sitting on the Epstein files for 4 years. They had all of the information necessary to prosecute, I guarantee you, every single person in the Republican Party at the federal level. And they didn't do it. Not because they had violated any laws. They know they did. They had incontrovertible evidence, being the government, having all those files in the Justice Department. They had incontrovertible evidence of what all had happened. And they chose to do nothing. They chose to allow business, both figuratively and literally, to continue as usual, more or less, and continue the holding pattern, essentially, from the Trump administration. And even the good things that they did were not enough to withstand a single, executive order rolling back from the next Trump admin. That is at the best of times. That is what is in store for us for the next Democratic presidency if they don't come out the gates again with an FDR as candidate. At the worst of times, Gavin Newsom has basically shown himself to be exactly like the Republicans, merely putting on a smiling sort of car salesman face with a blue D next to his name. Seriously, if you listen to the podcast that he's done and the issues he's talked about, Gavin Newsom is essentially indistinguishable from a Republican on the social and the economic issues, with regards to trans rights. He does nothing but capitulate to the right on the whole, trans women in sports, trans women in the bathrooms, and the only thing where he seems to speak for himself at all is how much he loves Israel, which shows how compromised he is by the deep state. And I think speaks to the Democratic Party broadly, because these are the kinds of people that they're willing to bolster the voices of in the matter of political campaigning, And I think for that, we have to recognize that the Democrats are just as much our enemy as the Republicans until they can prove that, yes, we're willing to do something drastic to fix this country. So far, it's all been hemming and hawing at the best of times and sort of using marginalized people that they're not even willing to protect the rights of as a cudgel to get the left to vote for them. Not because they care about marginalized people. Democrats are just as willing to engage in fascistic state repression at the federal level, or to at least permit it to happen, as Republicans, so long as they get a symbolic vote to say you guys are stinky. Wayne. What they are interested in is simply they don't care about that, but they know that you do. But, much sort of online drama unfolded around that because Hassan is a leftist and liberals. He's in fact he's kind of like the leftist on the internet. And a lot of liberals got mad at him for that. Oh, well. Didn't realize I would just bounce off the track there. In last place, it is what it is. But yeah, I only usually talk about that stuff when I feel it's politically relevant. In this case, it is. Let me now take these off again. There we go. Oh, another thing, the other thing on my list, on the things that I've found of interest to talk about. I didn't talk about it on Monday because I hadn't seen. I don't know. I'm kind of out of the loop with regards to sports culture. The Super Bowl happened over the weekend. Super Bowl Sunday and all that sort of stuff. And the Seahawks. I think the Seahawks beat the Patriots. Death to the America the Patriots, like 2 S's, SS, lost. Glory to the fucking revolutionary Seattle Lib Socialist Republic, whatever the fuck. Oh, excuse me. But that's not the part that I wanted to talk about. I actually want to talk about the ads, not even the halftime show, because we know that the halftime show, the Super Bowl halftime show, was actually a complete, total, resounding cultural victory for the left, which is something you love to see, right? Specifically, I want to talk about what you could juxtapose the Super Bowl halftime show to, which is the ads that were running during the Super Bowl. Apparently it was all AI slop, like AI slop ads, and like surveillance, like AI surveillance, and like weight loss pills, apparently. Which is also important to talk about because, that sort of cringe is important to talk about because as the Super Bowl halftime show is indicative of where the culture is. Also, I got wheelie locked there, so I'm going to get last again. The ads that run during the Super Bowl are indicative of where the money is. Ads are not that expensive to produce. Oftentimes, if you have some real artistic talent behind an advertisement campaign, you don't need all that much money necessarily to make a good ad. That being said, even, these ads look like they were pretty dog shit, but the real thing is that ads cost a lot to run when they know that viewership is going to be very high for a very widely televised, culturally relevant event like the Super Bowl. So this was essentially, these were the ads that had the money to purchase the advertising slots during the Super Bowl. And it was all AI and surveillance and weight loss pills, which kind of speaks to where the money is in the American economy right now. Like there's no money circulating in the production and rendering of real goods and services. Like if you're particularly goofy with it, maybe you could argue that the weight loss pills are, real goods and services there. But like, even that speaks to a sort of the bloated and over commercialized state of the medical industry in America. That like people have sort of given up on trying, with regards to living more healthily, because living healthy is fucking difficult and expensive. If we're talking, dieting is kind of difficult, given how much shit food there is in America and how hard it is to get good food, how expensive all the good shit is. And living healthy from the perspective of not getting sick is very expensive. Because like medicine is super expensive, healthcare is unaffordable basically. Need an item. Ow? I'm fucking dead? It's been known to happen. Okay. I raced that one a lot better. It's just unfortunate timing, I think, got me. What were the Super Bowl ads? No, not 2025, 2026. USA Today, all 54 ranked. USA Today ad meter. Great. Okay, thank you. What do we got? Budweiser, Last Harvest, Pepsi, Goodwill Dunkin'. Oh, is this AI? It looks AI. Fucking Ben Affleck is not that young. Race is starting. Oh yeah, there was a like AI ad for vodka. There was an ad for an AI, like AI glasses or whatever, like glasses that had an AI that fucking recorded everything you do while wearing them. There was an ad for like, oh yeah, haha, this app can access camera, like the actual functionality was post on this app and you can now access cameras all throughout your neighborhood to view what is being viewed by those cameras. And like ostensibly it was like, oh haha, see if your pet goes missing, you can find them this way. And it was so transparently like, yeah, finding the pet. Like it was barely veiled surveillance, which is indicative of, like I said, where the money really is. Okay. Second place, not bad. 6 players? Okay. See if I can find those ads. Oh yeah, here we go. Ring. Wow, we love our pets. The video basically goes like, oh yeah, here's your missing dog. And it's like AI video of people putting up the missing posters, I think. At least it looks very much like that. There's sort of an uncanny filter to the footage. And they're like, but with the Ring app, here's my pet name and description, and then it just pings every fucking camera in the neighborhood. It's like, we're accessing all of these different cameras on these different houses to see what's, you know, like, where your pet could have gone, which of course is just, you know, like, oh yeah, surely the local, state, and federal government will not use this fucking surveillance technology to track your movements or apprehend political dissidents or something. Type shit. Look, it's in a way, it also it connects back to the like economic decline of this country. That like this is the only place where anybody cares to invest money now, you know. Okay. Mega mushroom. Gotta be careful there. That bullet will go inside to absolutely ruin your day. Might not, well, I was gonna say might not have been the best decision because I remember I got a single mushroom in fourth last lap, but now I got a golden, so I think that's good. Do they know about skipping that mushroom, like that being faster? Holy shit. Mock bike privilege at work. I think I get second here. Yep, sure do.
Mario.
Cool. But then the other thing that I just remembered, the rift between what the Super Bowl ads showed and what the Super Bowl halftime show showed, is that like the culture in America is still very, very progressive. And is like only growing more so with time because of how like ham-fisted the crackdowns have been from the federal government, how little effort has gone into spinning the ramp up in surveillance and stuff like that. You have this clash between a very progressive left-leaning dominant culture versus a very like extremely authoritarian like investment paradigm, like basically economic paradigm that the government seems willing to engage with, and that companies seem willing to engage with, you know? Got him. You love to see it. I'm on my shit right now. Look at this. Did I get him? Not quite. The problem with me doing all this stuff is that while I'm hitting all of this, all these tricks and turn skips and whatnot. Oh shit! How did you? That's crazy. I was gonna say any target shot could like end me. Got somebody with something. Okay, second place.
Oh yeah, next time.
Damn. That track is absolutely unhinged. Yeah. Hopefully the progressive culture asserts itself more over the coming several years. Alexa Plus. Redfin, Rocket, Mortgage. Yeah, loans, insurance. Dove, the game is ours. Uber Eats. Wasn't DK Summit. Toyota. DraftKings, man. Yeah, gambling, AI, surveillance, weight loss pills type shit. Like, that's what the American economy is now. If I were an economic anthropologist, I feel like I could go in on that. Let's see if these guys know. This seems to be a very strong room. Let's see if they know you don't actually have to slow down here. They don't. Interesting. Why do you suppose that is? It's really strange to me that, like, even in, like, rooms where there's guys that are clearly of my caliber or potentially even better, they don't know that you don't have to slow down to make that shortcut. Of course, now I'm very behind because I got blued off the edge and missed the startup boost. I'm going to save this golden, I think, for right after the cannon. I don't know if there's a good... Well... Three mushrooms, okay. Oh my god! Unfortunate. Oh, that actually puts me at the end. Interesting. Okay. 6th place, meh. I feel like the thundercloud was very unfortunate timing. I did not want to have that speed boost there. Oh yeah, here's the Oakley Meta. Athletic intelligence is here. Those were the AI glasses I was thinking of that watch you do everything. ChatGPT, OpenAI, Anthropic. Weight loss drug. Mr. Beast's fault. More weight loss. Coinbase. Genuinely, it's kind of grim, the economic prospects that await us. Or rather, the lack thereof, I suppose. You're gonna throw that red shell and do it? Okay, well. Nope. I'm holding this star for a little bit. Maybe I'll chain it here. What's up? Okay. I'm kind of operating on the assumption that this is a front run track. Of course, if somebody has a mushroom, they can pass, me without much hassle, which is fine. I just don't want to get red shelled or blue shelled. Like, if somebody mushrooms past me, that is all well and good. That red shell broke. Hold this out. Well, the real question is, can I get away with front-running this as Mario? Probably not, maybe, but probably not. My odds have actually gotten a little bit better now that I'm in second rather than first, I think. Oh! Crazy target shock. Or crazy attempt, rather. Okay. Huge. Ooh, ouch. Don't butt me off. Okay. Well, I did what I could. Sometimes it just turns out like that. I think I made a number of, like, incorrect decisions at the end, mostly centering around the use of those mushrooms. I think that was, like, the big thing that I did wrong in that race. Five people. We got like a modest-sized room here. Nice. It picked my track. All right. I'll bump too hard. I blame y'all for that. Okay. Chuck these. Throw one of these. Probably throw this after the bats. Here we go. Get rid of it. Nice. Fake item box, that's fine. Honestly, I'm content to ride it out in second. Okay, that was rough. That guy actually kind of saved me from that failed wall glitch being any worse than it already was, because I definitely would have hit the wall. And now I'm out of bounds. I think there was actually, like, no good answer there with how the bats were moving. Like, legitimately. Watch this. Oh, no. Okay. Start using this. Nope. Okay, I need an item. Oh, what's up, player? Okay. Third place. I'll take it. Hope my desktop doesn't play any unexpected audio. That'd be very annoying. Four people, okay. You go for another track. Maybe a DS track. Sure. regular old Waluigi pinball. Oh yeah, a little statistics thing that was of interest to me. A little while back. It's a little bit out of the loop to bring up now, but does anybody else remember when all those news outlets were puffing up the notion that supposedly, like, oh yeah, wow, look at all of these Zoomers that are Christians, that there's like a religious resurgence. Recently it turned out, actually, no, that's not happening. Like, there is no religious resurgence among Generation Z, among like young people. And the reason that there were polls and statistics from supposedly reliable data collectors that showed that was because of like the nature of these polls being online opt-in surveys, where you essentially like they essentially select already for like the most radical types of people. Ordinarily people are selected at random for a poll, which that has, you know, flaws to it as well, but like it's better than nothing. This is one of the things that it's better than, you know, because you like the most eager respondents are those that like they seek out the poll beforehand. And so those polls need to be viewed basically as like nothing. You know, like completely not useful in any way. And there are also like there were statistics that were much harder to fudge that are not based on like a potentially volatile or fickle like responding sample size of data supplied from churches about their membership numbers, you know, like local churches. And churches continue to be like, there's no interruption in the trend of churches being on the decline, essentially. Which means that like these polls don't actually show anything. There is no religious resurgence. And I mean, that sort of tracks with my understanding that the world has been getting more and more rational over time, and has drifted further and further away from religion, because religion was invented as a method of statecraft. It is an institution of social control, first and foremost. Like, that's what it's meant to do, because that's what it does. In the archaeological record, basically uniformly you see religion and the state occur at about the same time, and it is impossible to separate the two because religion and state are/were one and the same. But as states began to secularize, as our understanding of like psychology grew and whatever, religion became more and more divorced from statecraft. It became almost like a vestigial institution. You know? And for a brief period of time, I guess, a lot of news outlets were very eager to puff up a religious resurgence to sort of fuel like reactionism, more or less, but that fuel ran out pretty quickly when it came to light that no, people actually weren't going to church. People weren't behaving religiously in that sort of way, you know? I do not have an item. Got him. Cool. Banned random solicitation bot. Man, I'm not as good as I used to be at banning solicitation bots when they show up in my chat. 3 players. We keep bouncing back and forth between how many or how few players we have in the room. Bowser Castle 3. Okay. Oh no! Don't low trick on the 4th one. Okay. Here's hoping for a blue shell. Or triple mushrooms, okay. Got him. Oh, you got hit by something, it looks like. Is he going... He's doing the shortcut, okay. I figured out my weakness is the shortcut there. Let's try. I almost drifted into that one, but was not to be. Perfect. That's actually a huge deal for me, the fact that they blocked the shortcut. Other guy took it anyway. Okay. Got an idea. I was so preoccupied on the bomb. Okay. I'm gonna look for a different room to round things off.
Mario time. Here we
There we go. Okay. I'm in a different room. Oh, hey, it's another player. Default player me. Oh, this is beta Dry Ruins. Follow this Bowser guy. Beta Dry Ruins is pretty novel, I suppose. Well, looks like he got last, or close to last, so that's unfortunate, but you know, it is what it is. I've been reading more of that textbook that I've been reading through for the past few months. The Incas. I've developed, I think, like pretty healthy habit of reading a bit of it each day in a way that feels natural in like my routine and whatnot. It is. It's very interesting. It's very interesting stuff. Reading about the Incas, the archaeological footprint that the Incas left. And you can actually really easily tell when reading any textbook like that, you can actually really tell when it's an American liberal doing the archaeology, writing, and sort of explaining the stuff, right? Partly because of the things they outline as surprising, you know? Like I remember yesterday I was reading about the Inca highway system. Fun fact, Incas, the Tawantinsuyu, which was the name of the Inca state, actually had a highway like mail delivery system where in just a few weeks you could put in like there could be administrative requests put in for like a supply of a given thing, or like, oh yeah, we need laborers for this project, we need materials for this project, whatever. And the request could be delivered in a couple weeks, and then the materials could be delivered in a couple more weeks, you know, because of like this relay runner system. It's pretty cool. But this guy, Terrence Daltroy, remarks that like, wow, it's so surprising that these highways actually twist and turn so much, and they don't have so many like massive, really long straightaways. And I was like, yeah, of course, like. And then you realize that, oh yeah, being an American, like, we're so conditioned in America that like even academics have a hard time processing infrastructure that has to conform to human limitations, is designed for people, and isn't made for cars. A thing that was like not even close to being invented in the year fucking 1530. You know? It's a good spot to use the bullet. What got me an item? And then I immediately get shocked. Okay. Well, give me that mushroom. Damn it. I'm racing in the back mostly, but Also, that bump was not to be mean. That was largely for the purpose of stabilizing myself. Okay. Okay. 8th. All right. It do be like that sometimes. Elsewise, there's a really funny pattern where Daltroy remarks on how inseparable the state and religion are. But because that, like, with you're not supposed to, it's bad form in archaeology to pass judgment. So he doesn't pass judgment on the, like, the what he thinks the real purpose of these religious structures is, which of course the purpose of such religious structures is to like legitimize state power, to form a part of this psychosexual repression, to redirect that energy towards like whatever the state wants you to do, right? To enable the state to control, because it's an institution of social control, right? He doesn't get particularly theoretical with it. But like constantly, every time the religion is brought up, it's always in the context of the state. And it's just as easy to see that for these Spanish chroniclers, for whom we owe a lot of the documentation to, you know? Whoa, okay. I was so focused on the daisy that I didn't see that fake item. Ow. Sorry, I'll gain some time on the flame runners here. Yep. What's up, Mini Beast? Oh, they're in a bullet bill. Smart decision to use that there, I think. I'm gonna hold this till I'm around the turn. I'm gonna use it here. Okay. Ooh. If that turned pretty tight, I'm gonna use this here. In the hopes of getting a box. One mushroom. Bananas. Okay. I'm gonna try to just hold third here. Ooh, okay. Mock bike at work. I take that turn way better than all the flame runners do. Where's first? Oh, they're way up there, huh? Oh, blue shell. That's good for me, potentially. Nice. Am I gonna get first here? That'd be cool, wouldn't it? I'm gonna hold this banana for dear life. That's what I intend to do. Never mind. Blue shell. Okay. 4th, 5th? That's not too bad, actually. You do maybe 1 or 2 more races. I've been having a decent showing. So far, I haven't had... What I would really like is for one race to just go, like, pretty smoothly. You know? Even if I don't get first, that's not what I'm really aiming for. Just start to finish. I don't want anything, like, catastrophic to happen. I want it to just be, like, I drive relatively uninterrupted. Maybe I'm able to get some good shortcuts off. I get behind it or whatever, but, like, just don't want to get hit by all that much. I think that's the priority for me on these last couple races. So says I, anywho. What got picked? Was it DK Summit or? Yes, it was Nintendo Wii DK Summit. Okay. I will not be doing the double shortcut on this one. Oh, that's a G37 dude. A lot of daisies and mock bikes today. F? I don't know what that clan tag is. I do recognize it though from back in the day. Like way back in the day. Yeah, they're way up there. And here I am in a slightly distant third. Unless I do this. Ooh, that was good. Ah, dang. I went too far over. Am I gonna get here? Golden? Okay. Ooh. Alright, I think I have to use this here to catch up at least a little bit. I'm somehow in 4th now. Okay. Make that 3rd. Nice. 2nd, 3rd. That was a really good race. I think I'm satisfied with that race being like the really good one. One thing happened that you could characterize as like pretty bad, which is I made a mistake on the single shortcut, but the rest of the race I think I drove pretty well, got 3rd, and it kind of worked out. Now, if I could get Boo Lake for this last race, I'd be very happy, but I think it's already been like a good session, and I don't think I necessarily need that. Yeah. What I do want is just, I needed to get some practice this stream to get myself back in form, and then like next time I can talk about news-related things. You know, because I've been taking a break a little bit from my news feed, but I feel like a lot of the things I talk about are news related. Like, obviously, because I talk politics a lot on this stream, but, you know, I did kind of want to, I kind of wanted to hammer home how much, like, politics isn't just the news, but I guess in order to do that, I do still have to incorporate the news into my stream so I can, like, give a good contrast of, like, okay, so you understand the politics of the news and, like, how this is political. You have to understand how this is also relevant here in this other area. right? Because I want to be like a academic agitprop kind of streamer almost. Yes, Rainbow Road. I have a feeling that things may go wrong here, but you know we'll make it work. What's up? Big item. Oh, you can go ahead. I'm just gonna hold second. Why would you do that? You're in just as much danger from a blue shell. You gain nothing by green shelling me there. Here, I'm gonna wait to use this until there, probably. Ow. Pull off. Chain this. Mushrooms, that's good. Give me one of these, thank you. My box, thank you. I'll try to chuck these forward mostly, because I think that's only appropriate. One mushroom. Okay. I may be able to get away with this in the shortcut here. Yeah, that's good. One red shell in this placement. Okay. Fourth, that's actually not bad.
Oh yeah, next time.
I'll take fourth there. Okay. I think that's enough for this session. Maybe, do I write stuff down in the future? Maybe I do. Maybe I do. Okay. Very nice. Ken Klippenstein getting the follow back from Congress people. Let's see. I'm just not, I think I'm not going to raid anybody today. I'll see y'all. I might see y'all as soon as Friday. Because I want to, I may watch Genesis. That might be fun. So, later.